Camera's over here.
Hi, camera. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new or maybe just don't know, my name is Jennifer, and this
I'm Gene.
Is Gene. And today's video is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do on this channel. Well, I mean, maybe it's not different because there's all kinds.
Files under vlog.
Yeah.
Categorizes.
So we have an announcement to make, but before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about some other thing that's going to lead up to the announcement. Alright, so a lot of you may not know the history of Gene and I. You may be new to my channel, or you just have never heard the story of Gene and I. So we thought we would tell you a little bit about how we got to where we are today, right? So, and we can never remember, well, he thinks he can remember, but I don't think he's right. I think he's wrong on the day. Our anniversary is coming up. And our anniversary kind of jumps around from year to year. We're not really sure exactly the day we met.
Well, it's not, see, here's the thing. It's not based on when we met. It was based on when I started falling in love with Jennifer. And I started having deeper feelings and actually started using the word love, because I use that very carefully. I don't just say, oh, I love you, baby, you know, when I start talking to somebody. So, this is my thing. It should be a respected word in the English language, and since there's only one word, however, not to get too technical, so it was the beginning of January when I started doing Periscope, just for fun.
For those of you who don't know, actually Periscope is closing as of what, March 31st?
Yes.
They're no longer going to be a thing, but Periscope is a live video chat kind of thing. You can turn on your camera and then people come in and you can chat with people.
Owned by Twitter, it's connected with Twitter.
Yeah.
So, to my understanding, Twitter is now moving to, they're still doing live, but it's somehow different, but whatever, it's not the point. So I started doing Periscope.
Right.
And that's where she saw me and started trolling me, and so that's kind of how she caught my attention as far as, you know, just communication. And so we started talking from there, because you were always in my scope every single night.
No, that's not completely true.
Hanging out.
Not every night.
Okay, well, it was every other night,
no,
most nights.
When I very first met, okay, there was another girl that he was talking to, and I was like, well, I don't like this because that's my guy. Well, I didn't know it was my guy at first, but I'm like, I like him. I don't want her around. I was kind of like jealous.
Yeah, so you did your womanly magic, however you girls operate.
But here's what I remember. So the first time I saw him, he was drinking, because that's when he would do his little video things, is when he was drinking. And he is a very charming person when he drinks. He is very, very, very talkative. And so a video camera and drinking, and that just mixed with his personality. So the first time I saw him, he was drinking, and I was like, I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm not gonna cry. The first time I saw him, I saw this like loneliness in his eyes, and kind of hurt. And it just reminded me of myself, except for with my food. And I wanted to help him. That was my, like, I know that doesn't sound like when you say you trolled someone, it doesn't sound like you're wanting to help them, but I don't know, that was what was in my mind. So within the first couple of days that I went in, he had then declared he was going to quit drinking and he was going to be sober. I thought, there's a couple of times that I went in there, I thought he was on house arrest. because I don't know why I thought this, but he was in a park on a bench, and it was close to his house, but he was sitting there drinking on a bench, and then I don't know whether it was some things he was talking about, or I don't know how I got the idea that he was on house arrest, but for some reason I thought maybe he was on house arrest because he never really left the house that much.
Yeah, I only scoped at the house.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought maybe he didn't leave the house because, I don't know, whatever. And so he said he was going to quit drinking, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then he wasn't on Periscope for a few days. Maybe you were sober then. Maybe you did have sobriety then.
Yeah, I just wasn't. It's not as fun to expose yourself on a platform like that.
When you're vulnerable.
Yeah, when you're vulnerable.
Right.
Because it wasn't based on any real sustenance except for drunkenness and fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt pretty vulnerable if I was sober.
But I remember the first conversation he was having with other people when I found him, and it did find my interest because you're talking about personality disorder. You were talking about how, the dissociative, all that, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. This guy's really smart. So then he declared he was going to be sober, and he disappeared for a while. And I was like, well, maybe I'll never see this person again. And on Periscope, there was no way to direct message anybody. I think on Twitter there was, but I never used Twitter other than Periscope, and I don't think he did either. But so then he popped up one day. He popped up again, and I was like, oh my God, he's back. And so I kind of tried to you could stay outside someone's room at that time and just kind of watch them without actually going in. So I just kind of sat there and watched him for a while, and then I realized that he was drinking again. So I went in, and there were other people in there. There was quite a few other people in there, and of course I was giving him a hard time about drinking. I thought you said you were going to quit drinking. Just basically the stuff I used to do after you came here.
In a different way.
In a different way.
More in a making fun.
Yeah,
trolling type of way.
Yeah. And he ignored me. I mean, he didn't ignore me. He talked to me, but I was trying to make him angry. But he just wasn't getting angry. And I'm like, why isn't he getting angry at me? Why isn't he blocking me? Why isn't he throwing me out of his chat? And I was getting very frustrated. So I left because it wasn't working. Of course, I obviously came back.
So that leads us to...
And during this time, actually before we met and started talking, he had met another person, a woman, and they had started talking.
Is that where this leads us?
Uh-huh.
That story?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then you got rid of her somehow. I don't know. I chose you, and then...
I remember the conversation we had because he said that he was having feelings for me, and he had to tell this other person that he wanted to not speak with him anymore because he had feelings for me.
Yes. So that leads us to... I started talking on the phone, and so...
That was the most embarrassing phone conversation I have ever had, because literally the entire time, the only thing I did was giggle. I giggled and laughed the entire time. I don't think I said...
She was shy.
I was very shy. I don't think I said many words, and everything was just laughing.
It was cute.
I don't know how cute it was, but it was unnerving.
Yeah, well, we got past that stage pretty quick,
And then
so we started talking.
The next day, you tried to call me back, and I was too nervous to answer the phone. For a couple days,
I was disappointed. I was like, hey, I guess I'm starting to lose her. Did I say something wrong, And all these questions naturally goes through your head. And then you did answer the phone, and we started talking more and more.
Yes.
And so after about 3 weeks to a month of talking, then that's when I started developing deeper feelings for her. And that's where I personally set the date to around mid-February. It's about 6 weeks later.
Right.
And so that's kind of where we establish our anniversary. Is like when we started actually really officially being together, I guess
Right.
you could call that.
Right.
Which is coming up.
That's brought us to, that's how we got our anniversary date of mid-February. We kind of push it back a little bit every year depending on what's going on. This year, on our anniversary, actually, they're going to be installing our new windows. So we're going to change our anniversary date again this year and do it either the day after, probably. Because we'll be out of our apartment most of the day, well, at least most of the morning. So we don't want to celebrate while we're having our windows installed.
So
then it developed into, we talked occasionally and, you know, that. And then it started like talking all the time. And then the next 4 years flew. Like, we literally did not get off the phone with each other. Rarely.
just thousands of hours on the phone a month.
Yes. Literally.
Always on the phone. Yep.
And even when he would go somewhere.
Earbuds, baby. Right there.
In the pockets. When he was working, he would put his phone in his pocket and I would either be FaceTime or on the phone. We'd be talking.
So that we spent 4 years. So after being here for a year, this now brings us to 5 years of
knowing each other,
being with each other, being committed to each other.
And that time, having a phone relationship, I don't know if a couple started out together and then had to have a long distance relationship because of work or the military or so some other cause, if you had already known each other and then separated and had a relationship, I don't know if that would have been different.
That would be tough, and that's its own animal.
I guess it was easier for us because we had never met first.
Right.
And we didn't now it would be I don't even want to think about it because it would be horrifying to me. It would be the worst thing ever. But it was still difficult for 4 years.
Yeah, it was off and on. It was very, yearning.
I think during the worst of when his alcoholism, when he was at home, after his mom passed away, of course, then away addictions go. You throw yourself into your addiction to cope with your feelings.
I did.
And, I did the same thing with my mom and other things. There was a stretch of time for, probably a couple months where we didn't hardly talk at all. We texted a few times and we talked a little, but it went from all the time to...
Not that much.
Yeah.
Because I was drinking so much and she did not like being on the phone with me while I was drinking at all.
No.
So it wasn't good for either one of us. Her mood would go down, which would affect my mood, and there's just no point in that.
Hang on. And then...
I would like to add, because we've been going on with that 4-year thing. Well, in a nutshell, since there's a lot of questions about why we spent so long on the phone, it was based on two major things that I can really see. One was she wanted me to be sober and pursue sobriety for a certain amount of time before we actually met. Understandable. I went to detox a few times. I tried to be sober several times, 30 days here, 45 days there, I think, once. So she wanted me to be sober, and two is a nervous thing. So
I was very nervous, even though we had FaceTimed. He watched a lot of that. I've had a couple questions of if you watched my videos when I started doing them. He did watch my videos, so he saw when I was up moving around. He saw what I look, in my body. I was still a very self-conscious thing. So I was very nervous, just self-conscious, because it's not easy being very large and a lot of insecurity about your body, about my body. So, I think that... Stop. I mean, that sums it up in a nutshell, insecurity. I think that was it. I think maybe even I was using the I wanted you to be sober for an extended period of time because it was my insecurity. Maybe trying to find a way to push it back, keep pushing it back.
50-50. It was practical, however, yeah, I could see that, yeah. So that's kind of why it took so long, too. And then finally we just said, you know what?
It's just time.
Make it happen, see where life and God takes us.
And he went to detox. He finished detox. And when he got out of detox, that's when he got a bus ticket, bless his heart.
3 days on a bus.
Was on 3 days on a Greyhound bus.
Came up here.
He came in wearing his safari hat.
Because she would make fun of me wearing a safari hat when I would go out and mow the lawn.
He had a safari hat.
To keep the sun off of me. I'm not looking for like style, you know. I'm not trying to look
functionality.
Cool.
He was in it
while
for the
mowing the lawn.
Functionality.
Functionality, practicality, all left brain, baby.
He's so cute too. And I thought I was recording our first meeting, but I wasn't. So I don't have that. I wish I would have.
Yeah.
So this past year there have been struggles.
There's been ups, there's been downs. We've gotten to know each other a heck of a lot better.
And I am so happy to say that we've come to a very smooth place in our relationship.
It's much smoother.
We're much happier than we've been in a long time.
Absolutely.
And that is, he has done so much better than I have, obviously. And obviously, I haven't lost that much weight, but he has been doing amazing with sobriety. He's been sober for over 5 months. I know a lot of people define sobriety or having 1 or 2 beers, they consider it not sober, but he's had literally like 2 beers in 5 months.
A little bit more than that.
Well, but
a few, yeah, I drank about 3 times in the past, or maybe 4 times in the past 5 months anyways.
But he has never drank like to the point of, you know, ridiculousness, or it hasn't been for days at a time, or...
That's a whole nother story. I mean, but yeah, I thank God I've been doing pretty good. The main thing, as far as my story on that end is concerned, it's because every time I drink I get sick, and so it just is not worth me drinking. It just doesn't feel good to me anymore. It absolutely is disappointing. The buzz is disappointing. I'm not as much in a good mood. It's like as soon as my buzz starts kicking in and I start to feel that relief, then the headache starts to come. And then it just, that alone is a buzzkill. So then literally, it's like an hour into me having a few beers, I get a headache, and I have a headache for 24 hours later.
Just from 1 beer.
Hangover.
Well, I think they're considered 2.
A 24 ounce, yeah, 2 beers, yeah. And then I even tried regular beer, not the crappy malt liquor, and I still have a really bad reaction. So, by God, I'm getting these bad hangovers off of nothing, and it's keeping me from drinking. So it's actually helping with the craving. I don't crave it as much because it just, I hate it. I can't stand having the hangover, so it's just kind of that, it's unsatisfying.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is such this is for me how I feel, it's such a relief to be able to trust him, because before he'd lie about going out, he went to the grocery store, he'd get a beer, or I would have to feel I'd have to be on the phone with him when he left the apartment because I was afraid. And that was me being over controlling and not realizing if he's gonna drink, he's gonna drink because he's an adult and he can do what he wants. I've come to that realization as well. So we've learned a lot in this last year.
That's
a lot.
A
lot of people on the outside may not see what the growth that we've come to together, but we have grown a lot in our relationship in the past year.
Absolutely. Which then brings us to our announcement.
Well, first, do you want to watch the video? So if you watch the intro, I know a lot of people don't like my intro, but I love my intro. A lot of people fast forward through it, but for those of you who watched it, and you'll have seen something a little different in that video. Jean made me a video for Valentine's Day, and
I was planning on making it live and then putting it out there and then proposing, but it didn't quite work out that way because we didn't spend time making a video and then putting it out. So that evening I was like, I just went on ahead and showed it to you, and so that's when I knelt down and I proposed to my beautiful love, Jennifer, and I gave her
beautiful
her ring.
It's beautiful and perfect. We had been looking, well, we had got commitment rings a while back. It was and that ring is beautiful and I love it too. It's very special to me. But then we have been looking at engagement rings because, girls do that kind of thing. And I had been looking at them and there were several that I was like, oh, this is cute, this is cute. And this one was the perfect one. It was the only one. It's like antique. I don't know whether you call it antique or vintage.
It is vintage, yeah.
It's, I don't know if you can see it. I'll include a picture so you can see it if it didn't focus there. But I had seen it, and that was way before Christmas. It was like, I think maybe around my birthday. It was around my birthday.
It was before your birthday, like beginning of October.
And this was like the only ring they had.
And then
it was in my size, and they wouldn't size it. It was just like, you bought it.
And it sat there, the only one, for 2 months. And about 2 months later, I made a purchase on it. And so it's kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
Kind of thing is the way we feel.
And it's beautiful, and I love it, and it's perfect. So we've tentatively, it was so cute. He said that he was researching wedding dates and how long you're supposed to be engaged. And that really melted my heart. I mean, he actually put the thought in behind more than just saying, will you marry me?
I still don't know what those dressed up girls who are invited to be a part of the wedding, their functions are.
Because I asked his sisters to be in the wedding.
I never really looked into that. I just thought they just kind of was like a part of the beauty pageant and fluffed the dress and got excited. I'm going to have to do a little wedding research.
We'll include that little clip here of what you thought that was.
I don't really understand what it means to be in the wedding. I guess the women just come and they're just there to look pretty and fluff up the dress and flip out and just be like, oh my god, you look so pretty. Oh my god, look at you. You look so pretty. Oh my god. So is that what they do?
Not necessarily, but that's your version of it, I guess.
Oh my god, look at you. Look at you.
Wow.
Look so pretty. Let me fluff up your dress.
We've asked his sisters to be in the wedding. And my cousin. I'm kind of considering having my cousin, because I'm very close to her, walk me down the aisle, give me away. And that is the big thing. Walk me down the aisle. I am not going to roll down the aisle. We have tentatively set the wedding, and there's no actual date yet, but fall of 2022 is when, in that area. And we've either decided, You want to say where? I mean,
Oh, I didn't know where you're getting at.
not like where,
It's
but
either going to be like ocean or garden, like a garden setting with beautiful. It's a garden.
sunflowers.
Or around the ocean, or a lake. Can be a lake.
Water, some kind of water.
Somewhere around the water, yeah.
Yeah. So that's our plans as of right now, and that's our big announcement.
So now we can officially call each other fiance.
Yes, because people were like, a lot of people in the comments were like really upset. You can't call her your fiance if you're not really a fiance. And it was funny because in real life, on any given day, he can call me his girlfriend, his wife, or his fiance. Depends on who he's talking to or the situation. And it was funny because the other day it went from girlfriend to wife back to fiance, and I'm like, I'm getting promoted and demoted in like a whole 24 hours. It was funny. So now I am officially a fiance. So thank you guys for joining us in this video. Thank you guys for being here. For those of you who have taken this journey with me, from me crying in my ice cream when we had a fight before he even got here, to kicking him out during the summer, to our happy moments, from our sad to our happy. And we hope to share a lot more moments with you guys. Happy moments.
Including pouring cheese all over, expired cheese at that.
Yes. Someone had a problem because you said the cheese was expired and I said we reused it. The cheese slices we picked up and we
Oh
ate
yeah,
them
they're covered up.
because they're
so-
covered up. But the shredded cheese was expired, and that was sucked up with the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
No.
So,
All right, we will keep you guys informed as we move along. My next purchase is going to be a wedding planner.
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, we'll see you guys again very soon. Remember, be the love, be the light, and do good things. Bye, everyone.